This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition.
All right, we got service call on several ACs not working. They're saying that a lot of them, or they have 3 of them, all 3 of them aren't working. The kitchen we already know has a bad compressor. This is their dining room, got a low pressure code. Looks like compressor number 2, okay. All the condenser fan motors are working, but condenser's a little dirty. Kitchen AC condenser is dirty. Then we come over here to this guy. Their bar has got high pressure codes. One contactor's not pulled in. Condenser is dirty, and 2 of the condenser fan motors are not working. So I'm gonna dive into the condenser fan motors real quick. We're probably gonna have to clean some stuff. Walk-in condensers are dirty. It's gonna be a mess. Lots of bird crap up here too. Look at this. It's like been there forever too. All right, well let me diagnose whether or not these fan motors have power and if they're bad or not first. This is the bar. This fan motor is bad. It's got 208 volts. Well, we should probably check the capacitor first, but we know we have voltage going to the motor. This fan motor also has power, and it's not running. So it spins, but it feels a little tight, but we need to check the capacitors next. All right, I'm gonna start by cleaning this condenser. We're gonna do it 1 AC at a time. Pull the panels off real quick. I have hot water because they don't have really good water pressure. Chemical, clean it. This one doesn't look as bad, and then we'll check the capacitors and move on down the line. Now this customer doesn't do routine maintenance at the moment. They're starting it, but they don't do routine maintenance, so we got to get these things up and running. Also, look at this. They've got condensate drain line that's leaking, probably from the winter time. It froze up here, and it's dripping on the thing, but that's a problem for another day. So I'm gonna turn this one off and then go through it. Let's have a look at the filters too. I wonder how bad those are. They're dirty. They're not plugged, but they're dirty. So I know that they're about to do a maintenance with their new maintenance company, so I may or may not leave those if they're not too bad. Try to save them a buck or 2. But yeah, we're gonna get this guy clean first. I'm gonna close up the panels and get it going as fast as I can. So this is one of the capacitors. Let's see. We're at 9 microfarads. I'm doing it one-handed, so 9 microfarads. It's low, but it's not horrible. And then the other one is, let's see, it was this one and this one. So 2. Let's put this one back together real quick. And then let's check 2. Here we go. 9. That one's pretty good actually, 9.4. So it looks like we're gonna have 2 bad motors, but okay, well I'm gonna clean this condenser first, give this AC a fighting chance without the condenser fan motors. I don't have any of these, so we'd likely have to come back, but I'm gonna clean it real quick. It's important to always do a good pre-rinse. So I wet all sides and then run through with just water, and look at all the stuff coming out, all the sand and dirt, just from the pre-rinse. I haven't even put chemical on there, but the more you get out, the more effective the chemical can be as far as the big debris. You know, I'm getting the big chunks of stuff out that the water will take out, and then the chemical will really strip out everything else. And you know, we'll have to use less chemical this way. So always do a good pre-rinse. Plus, it gives the chemical a good wet surface for it to glide on. Using the Refrigeration Technologies Blue Venom Pack, it's a brightener cleaner, and that'll really break down this dirt inside of here because this is just really impacted. So now that I've had it on there, I let it sit for about 3 minutes. You don't want to let it sit too long. We're going to do a rinse. I got it from all sides, and we're going to do a very careful rinse and let it just move all that gunk out. So it's not as bad now that I did a pre-rinse, but we'll just keep on going. There's chunks of dirt in there coming through, so we just got to do it nice and slow and get it all rinsed. You can see the stuff coming out. It's nasty. Really important not to forget is these bird screens, because these restaurants rely so much on the outside air from these ACs to balance out the building. So what happens is these plug up, they don't get enough outside air, so when someone opens the front door, they bring it in just through the front doors and it adds a bunch of humidity. If they pull it in here, at least it has to go through the air filters and then through the evaporator coil, potentially removing some of the moisture from the air. Not all of it, you know, it's not ideal, but these bird screens really got to be cleaned. I've got all 3 ACs back on and running. I haven't done anything other than clean them. So my next step is clean the bird screens and then change the capacitors on this one and see if those motors will start up. So I didn't think it would solve it, but I went ahead and changed those 2 capacitors. Both motors still don't run, so we're gonna come back with 2 condenser fan motors. It's amazing sometimes all the stuff we gotta take up. So 2 condenser fan motors, 2 fan blades, bag with just extra stuff, zip ties, relays, capacitors, that kind of stuff. 4-foot ladder to make my life a little easier. Probe set, still gotta probe up and check the charge on the whole unit once we get the fan motors changed, and then just my normal tools. But that bag right there is still one of my favorite things. CTXL from Vito. Mine's finally getting worn out. I had it for several years. I don't think it's a manufacturing problem at all. I'm not going to try to warranty it. That's from me overloading the bag. But that's a great bag. I picked it up from TrueTechTools.com. If you use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, you get an 8% discount on most of their items, and then I get a small commission, so it's a great way to help support the channel. But let's get up top and get these motors changed out, get them some cooling. It's hot out today. It's only 9 o'clock and it's probably already pushing mid-90s, so it's gonna get hot today. I try to be as efficient as possible. Got a little 4-foot ladder. Again, I can jump on the unit, but save my back, save my knees, you know? I got everything staged, you know, trying to be ready. All my tools and stuff kind of organized. Condenser fan motors, fan blades up here, ready to go. Everything unhooked. So that way, you know, I get on top and I don't got to jump up and down 5 times, you know, hopefully that's the plan. So marked what fan motors need to be changed. So let's get some work done, get these things changed out, and then we'll probe up on this guy and make sure the refrigerant charge is correct after we're done. Try to be as prepared as possible. We got 1 1/2-inch nut and a bolt holding the belly band, but it's still hard to get the motor out. So 1 5/8 ratchet, which I brought up with me, pulls this out, then you can flex the belly band to get it out. It's all about trying to be efficient, thinking ahead, knowing what you're gonna need. I work on a lot of these Linux units, so I know the stuff, you know, I don't struggle as much. But, you know, if I'm working on something that I'm not super familiar with, yeah, you're gonna struggle a little bit more. So if you could only smell what I'm smelling. I got my condenser fan motors changed, double checked everything. I'm wired in correctly, everything's good. I can smell smoke. This freaking board smoked. Look at that. So I pulled the board out. It controls one of the condenser fan motors and the 3rd stage compressor. So I got the other fan motor to come on just by jumping it to another relay just to make sure it's working. So the fan motor works. There's nothing wrong with my wiring, but I'm wondering if this was part of the problem from the get-go. I don't know. So I'm gonna try to put probe up on this because I can put it in test mode. These 2 compressors run. So I'm gonna probe up, make sure everything's good, and then make a decision if I can safely bypass the board or not. I don't know. I got to figure that out. Fun stuff, right? I was going to try to get off half day today too. I don't think that's going to happen. All right. Don't know what caused the board to go bad. I double checked everything, right voltage on everything. Everything's wired right. So I think it was part of the original problem and it just didn't show itself the other day when I was cleaning the condenser. This guy is running. It went off on high pressure right now for some reason, but it's looking good. It just reset. I had to, one of the fan motors wasn't running, so I had to jump out the relay. So 1st and 2nd stage are running, 3rd stage isn't, but if I hold in the contactor, I mean, it pumps. So I'm contemplating, oh, I looked up the board and it's back ordered through Partstown and through Linux. They don't have it right now. So my only solution is to possibly bypass that section of the board. It controls the 3rd stage. So we might be able to bypass it somehow. That's what I need to check and see. Because this is back ordered, I got to do something to get this running, right? It's not going to be perfect, all right? But I still need to use safeties. Unfortunately, I don't have any time delays with me. If this becomes a permanent thing, we'll come back up with time delays. But for now, my plan is to jump off of the 2nd stage contactor, the 24-volt hot leg, over through the high pressure, the low pressure, then directly to this contactor 3rd stage. I have the condenser fan motors piggybacked, so those 2 condenser fan motors are going to run 24/7. in the meantime. So they'll always have condenser fan motors, right? So then every condenser fan motor would run, this compressor turns on, this one turns on. It's not ideal. I'll go look at my van. Maybe I do have a time delay, but regardless, that's the plan. From this one, we'll pull that hot leg off, the 24, isolate it, tape it up just so it doesn't backfeed to anything weird. Run from that 24 on second stage through the pressure controls, maybe through a time delay back up to this guy right here. So it's not going to be ideal, and it's not going to be able to lock out on low pressure or high pressure like the other ones will, because they're still going through the board. That board is like the third stage interface, if I understand it correctly. So I don't know why it smokes. It's weird, but because everything works, right? I put in the relays. I made sure they were 24 volt relays. They're all from Lennox, so something. Last thing I need to check before we do anything is just ohm out the coils on those. Make sure they're not like messed up or something. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going with this. So we've got quick connects on everything, so we should be able to make this work, you know, without doing too much permanent stuff, so that way we can still come in and put the proper board in eventually. All right, this is a rough draft. If this works, then I'll go get a time delay, but I just want to make sure it's going to work. So I'm all probed up. We know that all the compressors pump. All the condenser fan motors should be running. We're in test mode. I jumped for now this compressor to this compressor, but it still runs through the pressure switches. The reason why I need a time delay is in case one of these pressure switches open, we don't want it to go on, off, on, off, on, off. At least if we put like a 5-minute timer there, it'll be off 5 minutes, back on 5 minutes, which still won't be great for the contactor, but it's better than nothing, right? And it stops the inrush of both compressors starting at the same time. So 1, 2, 3. I wish I would have caught the smoke the first time. Please don't blow up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, both of those are started. All the condenser fan motors should be running. All of them are running now. So that's a plus. Now let's just watch operationally. First stage doesn't look horrible. Don't know why we don't see a target yet, but second stage doesn't look horrible. Third stage doesn't look horrible. Looks like it's gonna work. Let's make sure the indoor blower motor's running. And then I can check on my probe because we don't have a... And the blower motor's running, that's good. Make sure this is on. It's not. There we go. Now we have supply temp. Make sure we have return flashing at me. It's not. These guys fell asleep. All right, we got that. Okay, so now we're working. We'll make sure it runs for a few minutes and then I'll run and go get a time delay. All right, let's go through before I go get that time delay. My temp split's kind of high. That's like an airflow issue. But I have one other thing we need to check because it says my return is 87. So are we in a position where we're getting a lot of outside air? We kind of are. If I put it down here, because this is the outside air damper, I can close it, but if we just put it down here, we'll get a little bit more inside air. Filters are dirty, but they're not plugged. I could close the damper too, but I don't think it's necessary. So, yeah, my return air temp is dropping now. So that's much better. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, first stage, nothing crazy. Superheat's a little high, but it just turned on. Subcooling doesn't really look bad. Pressure's pretty close, 40-degree evap. We don't have a heavy load on the building. Second stage, kind of looking the same. Not amazing, but I don't see low charge issues. Third stage. It's weird, the targets are messed up, but still, superheat 14, subcooling 16. This is not looking like refrigerant charge related issues. This is just the board messing up with the compressors, condenser fan motors, and a dirty condenser. Because remember, we had high pressure codes and it was just weird, but everything's running. So I'm gonna go get my time delay. When I come back, we'll just take the probes off. This will get them going. And we gotta order the board, but I don't know if the customer wants to. They're already replacing their kitchen unit right over here, right there. That one's getting replaced. So, you know, maybe they gotta put 2 in here, I don't know. And we're not even gonna get to that one yet. That one has a, I started to look at that one the other day, but it looks like it has a restriction, so I'll have to deal with that another day. It's literally just putting fires out right now because there's just, you know, they hit us all at once. So, all right, we're gonna let this run. All right, I said something incorrect earlier. I can only have one type of delay. It doesn't do both. So this is a delay on break. So when the voltage breaks to this contactor, there is a delay, and we are going to set it for 10 minutes. So when we no longer have voltage either coming to this contactor, right, because we're jumped off of that, or if one of these pressure switches open, it will not allow this contactor to turn on for 10 minutes once one of those opens. So this one still stages, this one still stages. This is gonna have to turn on at the same time, but if one of these pressure switches open, there's gonna be a 10-minute delay before this contactor pulls in again, if that makes sense. All right, so if I did this right, we should be able to turn power back on. And then we already know we're good for pressures. Let's go ahead and wait for the test mode to come on. The unit's actually down to temp, it's satisfied in there, so we'll put it on to C11. For test mode, hold it down. 1, 2, 3, please don't blow up. 1, 2, then that one comes in. It sucks, there's inrush, but it is what it is, okay? But now if we open this, if it goes off on low pressure or high pressure, it won't restart for 10 minutes. All right, so that's it. We're gonna have to talk to the customer about replacing that add-on board. We'll see what they wanna do, but it's back ordered, so it's gonna be a while before we get it, so.
You know, I kind of mentioned in the video that being prepared, trying to have everything ready. I work on a lot of these Linux units, so I realize I'm very familiar with them. So when it goes to changing a condenser fan motor, I know what tools I need. And, you know, that can apply with any type of equipment. Whenever you're working on equipment, if I'm doing a walk-in freezer and it's all iced up, you know, depending on the type of evaporator that I'm working on, I know, you know, if I'm working on, you know, a Heatcraft evaporator or a Russell evaporator, I know what tools I'm going to need to take with me to get the evaporator fan motors out, the fan blades out, you know, and try to be more efficient. And it's the same thing with these units, and same thing with Carrier and Train and, you know, all these different brands. It's like you just kind of start to get used to what you need. And it's really important to try to be prepared, because our days are exhausting. Our days are long, especially in the middle of summer. This has been one of the craziest summers we've had in a while, right? It's been nuts. And the more efficient I am, the better I feel at the end of the day, because if I don't have to get up and down and up and down and up and down from on top of that air conditioner every single time, it saves my body, right? Bringing up a 4-foot ladder seems silly, but then I don't have to jump down, you know, and feel it in my knees and my back when I'm jumping off the top of the AC. Plus, downstairs in the building, when I jump off that AC, go boom, you know, they hear that, and the customers in the building are like, what was that noise, you know? So, you know, the least amount of times that I have to get on top of that AC, the better. The more prepared and the more ready I am for the job makes it easier. Also, keeping your cool. You know, when I started the AC up, I mentioned, boom, you know, the board started to smoke, and it's like, okay, yeah, that sucks. It was a bummer. You know, I had like a twist in my stomach. What did I do wrong? And then I realized, like, after I evaluated everything, I didn't do anything wrong. It was just a bad board. And then what do? Do you leave the customer without an air conditioner? Or in this case, there was a safe way for me to get the air conditioner operational. I Google searched it, found the circuit board, found that nobody had it in stock, and then it's like, okay, I got to get this customer cooling, so what can I do to safely get it running? And I try to be, you know, as efficient and as money conscious for the customer. You know, it's like, I know they need cooling, they don't want to lose customers. Eventually we're going to have to change the board, but what can I do to get it going? And while still leaving the pressure safeties in the picture, low pressure, high pressure, to protect the compressor from potential failure. You know, trying to work through those problems, trying not to overthink it. You know, it's really important. Now, I can't say that like you can turn it on in your head like that, just know how to handle a situation. And maybe some of you could have handled this situation better than I did, you know, but just trying to be better, I think, is the most important thing. Just trying your best. You know, I'm going to say something. There's a new company, not a new company, but there's a company near me that is hiring a lot of apprentices, and they're throwing them out there to the wolves into situations that they should never be in the commercial refrigeration and air conditioning space. They're some of my direct competitors, right? And they are throwing people out there, and they're failing because, in my opinion, they're throwing people out to the wolves way too soon. These technicians need training. They need a proper apprenticeship. So as a new technician, don't let a company put you in a position where you're going to fail. You know, coming out of trade school, you have no business jumping in a van and running all the service calls right out of trade school. I can guarantee you, you have not learned enough. You do not have enough skills and knowledge. You need an introductory period. You need time. So as a technician, don't let companies throw you to the wolves like that, okay? I realize that some of us learn that way, but a good majority of us are going to fail, and we're going to get washed out of the industry, and we're going to think that the industry sucks when in fact it was just the companies that we were working for or you were working for that suck, okay? So be careful. Don't let these people throw you to the wolves like that. Thank you so very much for making it to the end of my video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Okay, there's links in the show notes for everything. If you're interested in supporting the channel, the easiest way to support this channel is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. You can also support it via PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes of this video for all of that. You can go to my website, hvacrvideos.com, where we have merchandise such as these hats available. Last but not least, you can go to truetechtools.com. If you watch in my videos and you see me using certain tools like such as the JobLink probes in this video, I purchased those from TrueTech Tools. I purchased a good majority of my tools from TrueTech Tools and actually set up an affiliate program with them. If you use my offer code BIGPICTURE, one word, you'll get an 8% discount on majority of the items on their website, and then I get a small commission. So it's a great way to help support the channel. Again, check them out, truetechtools.com. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate you. Questions, comments, leave them in the YouTube comments. Feel free to shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I appreciate you, and we will catch you on the next one.